Unlike most video game players who grew up on systems like the SNES, the Sega Mega Drive, or the original PlayStation, my path into gaming was slightly different. My first ever video game system was the BBC Micro. Yes, I am that old. But my first true love was my Amiga 600 Plus. On that machine, my younger brother and I would play all sorts of different games, but one of my early loves were point-and-click adventure games. Classics like Monkey Island, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, I couldn't get enough of them. One of my favourites though was the quippy, attitude-filled Simon the Sorcerer, originally by UK developer AdventureSoft. Now, after a lengthy hiatus and with the original creator's blessing, the series has returned with a prequel. It's even bringing Chris Barry back, who's most famous for playing Rimmer in Red Dwarf, and the original voice actor for Simon from the CD-ROM version of the game. So the question is, have they pulled it off? Is this a triumphant return for the franchise, or something like Simon the Sorcerer 3D, which I'd rather not talk about? Well, let's find out in our Simon the Sorcerer Origins review.
Simon the Sorcerer Origins? Who thought a prequel will be a good idea?
This time around, development for Simon the Sorcerer Origins is being handled by Italian developer Small Things Studios, and I'm getting this out front and centre. If you're worried that the series' sense of dry British humour isn't going to be preserved, rest easy. They've done a really solid job here, and aside from some minor gripes, this is a worthy return of a character and type of game that I used to really enjoy. As this is a prequel, things start off back in 1993, and our dear Simon is having a hard time at school and moving to a new house with his mum. He's not at all happy with the situation, and after a brief tutorial, we're thrust into another world via the handy appearance of a magic portal. The tutorial itself walks us through the game's systems. The simplification and streamlining of the standard point-and-click system isn't too bad at all, even for purists. Gone are the usual list of actions like pull, push, wear, look at, talk to, and so on, and instead things are a bit more contextual. I played the game on both Xbox Series X and on PC, and for purists that would only play this sort of title on mouse, that streamlining is still in play, though you'll still be able to double click around to get Simon moving at speed. On controller there is no movable cursor. You move Simon with the left thumbstick and you can hold the left trigger to highlight hotspots in the world. Tab achieves the same results on PC. Once held, you can interact with and flip between them with the bumpers, and you can combine items together as well as interact with Simon himself. In terms of plot, shortly after we're thrust through a glowing purple portal, we meet our mentor, the wise wizard Calypso, who informs us of a prophecy. An impudent child from another world will help find the tomes of the first wizard. There's our MacGuffin then, and it works well enough to drive the plot forward.
It's me, Simon. Don't you remember me?
Look here, this is a prequel. We haven't met each other yet.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry.
The series' main villain, Sordid, returns, but he doesn't quite look how you remember him. This is a prequel after all. It's also got some other returning characters, including a thoroughly good helping of Friendship Stew, and of course Simon's faithful dog Chippy. Simon himself is as sarcastic and quippy as he ever was, and Chris Barry's delivery is just as good as you'd hope. As Simon, you'll steal money from the church collection box, refuse to unfreeze a magical student because he looks cooler that way, and complain loudly to the player at being made to do things that he doesn't want to do. At one point we forced Simon to read and learn a complicated magical language. He wasn't happy. As per any good adventure game, over the course of 10 or so hours we'll collect items, solve puzzles and explore different locations. Inside our magic hat we'll have a magical diary that will display our various objectives, and also a map that we can fast travel to different locations. Amusingly, we'll drop a pin on the map which falls into the real world, which was always pretty funny.
Whoa!
To say, show or share much more would spoil the story, so I've stuck to either walking around or just the early game here. What I will say is that the team at Small Things Studios haven't been content to play it safe with Simon the Sorcerer Origins. They've added some new mechanics here which take a little thinking about. As with most point-and-click adventure games, you'll be solving puzzles and thinking logically for solutions. Most of the puzzles are fairly sensible in that approach, and thankfully there's nothing as groan-inducing as Where Dog from Simon the Sorcerer 2. That puzzle always bugs me because Simon was rubbish at magic, and the solution to that particular puzzle was that he was suddenly able to turn a dog into a pair of quiet, sneaky slippers. In Simon the Sorcerer Origins, Simon will be able to learn spells, and indeed unlock different versions of his inventory holding magical wizard's hat, which in turn have an effect on some of the objects inside it. This adds a few extra wrinkles to things, and overall I think they did a really good job with the mechanic. I have a few minor complaints. I've never really loved the new art style, which despite the greater fidelity still feels somehow less detailed than the pixel style games of my childhood. Equally, a final sequence very late in the game started to feel a little bit repetitive, but the developers soon won me over with a nice nod back to that same childhood all over again, and for that I can't really knock Simon the Sorcerer Origins too much. I've quite happily enjoyed Simon the Sorcerer Origins, and for fans of the series, this is genuinely a pretty great return for this 90s adventure game anti-hero. In many ways, it feels made by a group of fans that loved these classic games, and as such, is made with a fair amount of care and passion. I hope they get to make another one. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video review, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and if you really love what we do, consider supporting us directly on Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra, and we'll see you next time.